What a strange and quiet time in the NBA calendar, huh? We're smack in the middle of that dead zone between the frenzy of free agency and the ramp up to training camp. And while it may feel like nothing is happening, the ripple effects of decisions being made right now could shape the early weeks of the upcoming season. Boston fans may be feeling the silence more than most. No breaking headlines, no flashy trades, no drama. But that doesn't mean there isn't relevant news out there. In fact, a lot of what's going on around the league has a direct impact on the Celtics, even if they're not front and center in the headlines. Let's start with the noise coming out of Philadelphia. Kelly Oubre Jr. stirred the pot with a cryptic Instagram post that sounded a lot like a goodbye note. He said he loves Philly, but the love isn't being returned, and that despite injuries and surgeries, he's been putting his soul into the game. He even took shots at fans criticizing his three-point shooting, reminding everyone that he's been playing through pain. This kind of post isn't random. It's calculated, and it usually means the player knows something is coming. With Philly looking to make financial space, possibly to offer a restricted free agent deal to someone like Quentin Grimes, it makes sense that Oubre would be the odd man out. And here's where Boston enters the conversation, even if just quietly in the background. Oubre's contract, an $8 million expiring deal, has value, not necessarily because of what he brings on the court, but because of what that type of contract represents. Flexibility, opportunity, and if you're a team like the Celtics, hovering near financial thresholds that limit your ability to maneuver, that kind of deal might be worth a look. Now, this isn't to say Oubre would solve any major on-court issues for Boston. He's more of a highlight reel player than a system guy, and the Celtics already have more efficient options on the wing. But in a league where salary cap gymnastics are as important as X's and O's, sometimes it's less about the player and more about the number next to his name. Philly is caught in a tough spot. They want to stay competitive while managing the second apron restrictions, and that's forcing them to make choices like moving off Oubre to make room for Grimes. And Quentin Grimes, by the way, isn't just some throw-in player. Down the stretch last season, he proved he could handle real minutes and make real impact. Over his last 25 games, Grimes averaged 25 points, 5 boards, and 5 assists per night. That's not just filler production. That's starter-level impact. So Philly's urgency to keep him makes sense. But again, that urgency puts other names on the chopping block, and that's where teams like Boston, who are always sniffing around the margins for small deals that could have long-term benefits, might keep an eye on how this shakes out. Oubre might not end up in green, but the Celtics front office watches these types of situations closely. Speaking of Boston's front office, can we take a moment to appreciate how well-run the Celtics are right now? You don't have to agree with every decision. Maybe you still grumble about Jaylen Brown's max extension. Maybe you question the Porzingis move or the Drew Holiday deal. That's fair. But when you zoom out, it's clear that Brad Stevens and company are operating with purpose and precision. They've built a contending roster, they've made the money work, and they've avoided the kind of dysfunction that's currently plaguing other franchises. Take Golden State, for example. They're in limbo, and that limbo is affecting players outside of their main rotation. Jonathan Kuminga still hasn't signed his qualifying offer, and it's dragging out to the point where veterans like Al Horford, yes, Al Horford, are stuck waiting to see where the chips fall. Rumors have been swirling for weeks now that Horford wants to join the Warriors. Makes sense. His style of play fits their system. He wouldn't be asked to carry too much of the load, and his leadership would be a welcome addition in that locker room. But because of the uncertainty around Kuminga, the Warriors haven't pulled the trigger on anything yet. And Horford, a seasoned vet with little left to prove, is sitting there waiting for clarity. Now, if you're Horford, that's got to be frustrating. You're not looking for a long-term home. You're probably just looking for one more real run at a title. You want to know your role, your contract, your city. But the Warriors seem paralyzed. They haven't made a meaningful move all off-season, and every day that passes puts more pressure on them to act. Meanwhile, Boston's situation is the polar opposite. Horford may be leaving, but not because of confusion or dysfunction. His role was clearly defined, his contribution respected, and his departure, if it happens, would be part of a larger, calculated plan, not a desperate reaction to someone else's indecision. All of this speaks to a bigger point about team building in today's NBA. It's not just about signing stars. It's about building around them with intention. It's about knowing when to cash in assets, when to develop internally, and when to sit still. And Boston has been doing a masterful job at all three. You can see in how they've handled their young guys, like Sam Hauser, who's becoming a valuable piece not just for his shooting, but because of his contract. He's locked in for a few more years on a team-friendly deal, which gives the Celtics options. They can hold on to him and benefit from his floor spacing, or they can flip him for something more impactful mid-season if the right offer comes along. Same with someone like Neemias Queta. He's not a household name. He's not making headlines. But if he shows signs of becoming a legitimate rotational big, that changes how the Celtics approach their roster moving forward. If Queta can give you reliable minutes, then maybe you don't need to invest more money in the center spot next summer. Maybe that opens the door to paying someone else. Maybe it gives you the flexibility to re-sign someone like Simons if his market value drops, or target a different type of player altogether. This is the chess game Boston is playing right now. It's not flashy. It's not loud, but smart. Every move is about maximizing windows and preserving flexibility. Other teams, meanwhile, are scrambling to make sense of their situations. The Sixers are trying to get under the second apron while retaining upside players. The Warriors are caught between timelines, unsure whether to build around youth or squeeze one more run out of their veteran core. And in Chicago, we just saw a fascinating example of compromise with the Josh Giddey contract. Giddey signed a 4-year, $100 million deal. That's $25 million per year. The Bulls wanted to pay less. Giddey wanted more. They met in the middle. That's how business gets done when both sides are reasonable. It also shows how complicated the market is right now for young players who haven't quite proven themselves as stars, but have shown flashes of high-end production. And it's the same conversation teams are having about guys like Cam Thomas and Quinn Grimes. What do you pay a guy who hasn't made an all-star team but has shown enough to command real money? For Boston, this is valuable intel. The more we see these mid-level deals handed out, the more the market gets defined, and the clearer the picture becomes for what it'll take to retain or acquire players down the line. Then there's Jaylen Brown, who somehow still gets reduced in narratives about not being able to dribble with his left hand. That's it. That's the argument against him being considered one of the league's top 20 players. The guy just played a pivotal role in leading Boston to a title, and people are still stuck on a turnover in a playoff game from 2 years ago. The standards don't seem to apply equally across the league. Players with far less postseason success are being elevated to superstar status, while Boston's two cornerstones get nitpicked to death. And look, we get it. Tatum and Brown aren't loud personalities. They're not out there trying to dominate social media or force their way into headlines. But maybe that's part of the reason they're so consistently successful. All they do is work, win, and show up when it matters. Want some proof? Let's talk numbers. Since the start of the 2018 postseason, the Celtics have won 72 playoff games. That's not a typo. 72. The next closest team? The Golden State Warriors with 57. That's a 15-win gap. And remember, that's with Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson running the show for a dynasty. Behind them is Denver with 51. Milwaukee, with Giannis, is sitting at 45. These are elite franchises with elite players, and Boston has simply outperformed all of them in terms of playoff wins over that span. So while the narrative may be that Boston chokes or that they can't get it done in the big moments, the reality is that they've been more consistently successful than anyone else in the league over the past 6 seasons. Now, sure, winning one championship in that stretch might not satisfy every fan's expectations, especially in a city like Boston. But let's not pretend that getting to the Eastern Conference Finals, the NBA Finals, and consistently finishing as a top seed in the regular season isn't an incredible achievement. The NBA is hard. Winning is hard. And staying competitive over multiple years with the same core, even harder. Yet that's exactly what Tatum and Brown have done. They've kept Boston in the conversation year after year, and now they've finally broken through and won it all. That deserves more respect than it's getting. And yet, the Celtics still seem to be held to this impossible standard. Maybe it's because of the legacy of the franchise, or maybe it's just a symptom of how modern sports media works. But the amount of criticism this team and its stars take, especially compared to what they've achieved, is wild. Go look at other title teams. Nobody is talking about asterisks around the Warriors' 2022 run. Nobody's saying Milwaukee got lucky in 2021. But as soon as Boston wins, here come the narratives. Oh, the East was weak. They didn't have to play anyone tough. Dallas was an easy finals matchup. Come on, that's not how it works. You don't get to choose who you face in the playoffs. You beat who's in front of you, and that's exactly what the Celtics did, handily, I might add. They dominated from start to finish. No 7-game nail-biters. No fluky buzzer beaters. Just complete control throughout the postseason. They earned that banner. And the fact that people are already looking for ways to discredit it says more about them than it does about Boston. If anything, this championship should finally put to bed all the tired debates about whether Tatum is a true number one option or whether Brown can be trusted in big moments. The answer is yes. They've shown it. They've proven it. And now the focus should shift to what comes next. Because make no mistake, this team isn't done. The core is still intact. The hunger is still there. And with guys like Hauser, Quetta, and maybe even Jordan Walsh and Baylor Shireman stepping into bigger roles, there's still room to grow. The front office knows they'll need to make one more move at some point, whether that's in September or mid-season. But they're not panicking. They're letting the rest of the league flail around while they stay patient and precise. And as the free agency market continues to settle, Boston's path becomes clearer. They don't need to overpay anyone. They don't need to chase headlines. They've already got what most teams are desperately trying to find: a championship foundation, elite talent at the top, and a front office that actually understands how to manage a roster. Look around the league. How many other franchises can say that? So as we inch closer to training camp and opening night, just remember where things stand. The Celtics are the reigning champs. They've got a proven formula, and they've got the best playoff record of the last half-decade. All this noise about whether Tatum belongs in the top 5, or if Brown is worth his contract, or if Boston's run was legitimate, it's just that. Noise. The results speak for themselves. The banner hangs in the rafters. And the rest of the league, whether they want to admit it or not, is playing catch-up. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. The Boston Celtics appear to be stirring the waters of the NBA rumor mill once again. Word on the street suggests that the team has quietly secured a deal for OSO IGHODARO, a player whose name has been circulating in whispers among scouts and insiders for weeks. While nothing has been officially confirmed by the franchise, sources close to the organization hint at an immediate impact scenario that could reshape the Celtics' roster dynamics. IGHODARO, known for his explosive athleticism and defensive prowess, has reportedly caught the attention of multiple teams, but Boston seems to have edged out the competition. Insiders speculate that the Celtics are banking on his ability to make a seamless transition into their high-octane system. The move could signal a strategic push to fortify their depth on the wing and inject fresh energy into a lineup that has shown flashes of brilliance but struggled with consistency at critical moments. Fans have already begun buzzing across social media platforms, imagining how IGHODARO's presence might change the Celtics' rotation. Some are drawing comparisons to past, mid-season acquisitions that have shifted a team's trajectory almost overnight, while others are cautiously optimistic, waiting for the first official confirmation. The excitement is palpable, and the rumor alone seems enough to spark hope that Boston is quietly assembling pieces for another deep playoff run. While the front office remains tight-lipped, sources hint that the deal may include clever maneuvering around the salary cap, suggesting that Boston is thinking long-term as well as short-term. The Celtics bench, already known for its versatility, could suddenly become one of the league's most formidable, with IGHODARO's athleticism providing new options for both defense and fast break opportunities. Of course, in the world of NBA rumors, nothing is set in stone. But the buzz surrounding IGHODARO's potential arrival in Boston has already reached a fever pitch, fueling speculation and debate among analysts and fans alike. Could this be the sleeper move that propels the Celtics into championship contention? Or is it merely a tantalizing whisper that will fizzle before it materializes? For now, all eyes are on Boston, and the chatter refuses to die down. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Boston Celtics, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.